Hi, hello, and welcome to the Tetracast, episode 312. We are recording on August 19th, 2023. I am your host, Josh Torres, and as you can tell, two things. One, I'm substituting for our regular host, Brian Vitali. He's currently out on a work trip for a bit, so I'll be subbing in. And two, I probably sound like shit because I've been sick lately, so sorry if I sound like shit. But you're gonna have to deal with it. Sorry, but I'm recovering. I'm doing okay. I'm getting there. Joining me are the usuals. I have Adam Vitali with me.
Hello.
I have James Galizia with me,
Hey, folks.
and I have Chow Min Woo with me.
Hello.
All right, howdy, folks. Thank you for being on this weekend and bearing with me in my voice. I know I was out last week, so I don't know what the hell happened last week. I haven't been keeping up with anything really since I've been out of commission for a bit. How are you guys doing?
Good. I
Yeah.
ended up watching an anime movie all day yesterday.
Oh yeah,
What movie?
was it good?
I watched Lonely Castle in the Mirror.
Never heard of it.
I'm not
Is it
familiar.
good?
It's based on a novel, and it's about a lot of like school bullying and some other stuff in it. But it was all right. It could have been better.
Okay. All right, Chow. Well, we're kind of like in this awkward period where some of us have that we're playing that we can't talk about just yet. And so we're like on the cusp of like a lot of like games coming out, but like some of us are starting to work on them, but we can't say anything yet.
We
Um,
can say that there are multiple people on staff that have Starfield code.
Yeah, Starfield Code is out and people are playing it.
And nobody here wants to hear me talk about Rune Factory Free when I already talked about it like all
Yeah,
the time with little snippets of it.
Yeah, you talked
Man, I
about it.
can't believe you would break embargo about a DS game that came out in 2009.
that's fucked up.
I don't.
Hey!
I don't think he was technically breaking embargo even because there are previews up for the remake
Yeah,
next year.
yeah. I was making a joke.
Okay.
Um,
You
but
can't give
yeah,
it a score. If you give it a score, then you're breaking embargo.
there
You
some
could give a score for the original Rune Factory 3
True.
and just say,
I
yeah.
gave it a 10,
Okay.
but my standards from 2005 is totally different than now.
so the big releases this week were like there's Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which is not RPG, but a lot of people seem to
Looks
be
dope.
enjoying that. Yeah,
Yep.
so I need to go pick it up sometime. But the big like RPG release this week was like there's a new expansion region thing for Genshin Impact. Child, does Genshin Impact 4.0. Where are we on the overall timeline of Genshin? Like how many what region is this now? And then it's like there's like region number what out of what? Like how far are we in
This is the third new region. It is based on like it's heavily France inspired.
Uh-oh.
Oh man,
I'm
you
just
guys
kidding.
do you guys have anything against French people?
No. But I didn't know it was French inspired. So like okay, so the last new region was like I remember it was like very forest inspired, nature inspired, right?
Yeah,
So
this
how do we get
this one
from here to like not France now?
this one is like heavily into water. The last one is heavily forest. This one's like heavily in water. Like the first thing you do in this new region is that you get blessed with the water archon, and once you get blessed, you can basically swim in the water, and the swimming is actually like very well done. I can finally see why this game has like 5 dead patches because they were trying to build the underwater system in this game.
Yeah, so like the one of the things I saw people discussing is like a big component of this expansion is like a lot of it is spent underwater. You're engaging with the swing mechanic. I don't think there's like is there like a stamina or breath system when you're underwater?
You don't drown anymore. Basically,
Okay.
there is a stamina system, but you use it to sprint underwater now. So, you know, in Genshin, one of the most annoyingest thing is like when you jump into the water when you have no stamina, you just drown and you just die, right?
Right.
And it happens to a lot of people. You know, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just sprinting, and as I touch a puddle of water and I die," you know. And then now you don't die. You just swim underwater now. You just can't sprint if you don't have stamina. Obviously, the combat system is completely different once you're underwater now. I mean, uh, was every character now plays the same if they're underwater. They shoot this like kind of like a sonic boom when they're on the water, like this little thing, and a lot of cool things. But there is a little problem when you do underwater swimming. It's that your character, when you get to the top of the surface, they do like this dolphin flip, and it only applies to the new 5 stars or the new characters that come from that region. Other characters, like the older characters, don't do like this dolphin like dive when they like go above water for some reason. Like that was a showcase that I was seeing for some reason. But yeah, this new region is all about the underwater exploring, and the content's actually quite difficult, actually, because this is actually like done by my whale friend that spent a lot of money on this game, and he was like showcasing this entire region to convince me to come back and play this game with him. I'm like, it's like this does look lit. The music is epic. It's like this new region has a lot of cool stuff that it hasn't done before. So we're like, because everybody is kind of like a lukewarm with the game recently because a lot of like patches of like nothing happening, right? So yeah, this new region is kind of lit actually.
So which of these characters is the best one? Liney, Lynette, or Remnant?
Liney is the new 5-star. He's this magician that wears a garter belt, which apparently caused a lot of negative outrage in Korea for some reason. Like apparently Western audience are very receptive of this character. Korea is the least receptive of him. If you look at like their YouTube, it's like 75% dislike ratio.
Oh Jesus!
Because he wears a garter belt, that drove their audience insane about it. I guess this is probably a Genshin problem. But yeah, he's a new 5-star. He's a fire bow user. I think he's completely trash. In my opinion, my friend did a showcase of him. It was a terrible showcase. He did like a Mario Kart Super for some reason. He turns into this like cart for some reason, and I'm like, I am not impressed with this character. And this other guy tells me, oh, this guy totally power creeps Ganyu with his, because he's fire, right? And he does the exact same thing. I'm like, he doesn't power creep Ganyu. He has completely different use. He's complete trash, and he's trying to tell me that the Ganyu Discord's on suicide watch because this guy has power creep Ganyu. If you believe whatever this,
And you might be also slightly biased because Ganyu's your favorite in that game.
well, she might be slightly biased, but I don't think this guy power creeps Ganyu in any way because they have different elements and different use. Like, the biggest disadvantage with Ganyu is because she's Cairo, and Cairo does not play well with Dendro. And Dendro is one of the most stupidly OP element. Like, for example, like Nahida, ever since she came into the game, a lot of things you could just kind of like kill instantly thanks to Dendro. She's the Dendro Archon. She looks like a little fairy. I have a picture of her on the voice channel, and ever since she came into the game, it's like, if people that could work with her, they can literally melt any content in the game. Obviously, I still think that Raiden Shogun's the most broken character in the game, but you need the right team for her to be the most broken team, in my opinion. Because a lot of the times, ever since you got here, I just mashed buttons and I cleared the hardest content in the game.
Okay, so with Genshin 4.0, so they introduced this new region that's very underwater focused. Like, can you tell us like some of the locales that you see? Like what do they introduce with the game now? Like that they weren't able to showcase before. Now that like you're primarily underwater. Like, is there like some sort of like underwater city, Atlantis type deal going on?
I haven't seen all that things, but there are layers to the maps now. Like, one of the biggest quality of life they improve is that they added a layer to the map. So now you can see, oh, there's like this thing that I could do to go underwater to find this, or it's like at the top. So now you can see where the layers are. Though, how my friend's trying to explain this to me, it's like, it might be a little too spoilery for you solving puzzles now. Now you know there's a layer underneath there because of this quality of life improvement.
Yeah, I'm actually reading the press release about some of the this quality of life stuff. Some of this is, do you play on PC usually?
Yeah.
Some of this, I guess, is PlayStation specific. It says, I'll read it here. A series of new functions and features will be introduced to provide a better gaming experience. Global illumination, motion sensor support for gyroscope, and faster loading on PlayStation consoles will improve graphics, controls, and immersive experience by capitalizing on the sense of time and space. What does that mean? Anyway,
Oh.
other optimizations include the multi-layered map, the new party setup background, and animations intended to provide players with practical and interesting details in their adventures.
Their new animation is like when you load your character, they kind of do like a fighting game pose before like you pick them in the animation screen. It's kind of a nice subtle touch to it, you know. The new background, I'm kind of mixed on the new background, but it is better than the back then. It's just like this plain, you know, colorful background. Now it's kind of like part of like a scene from a forest. It looks a little bit more dynamic, but I feel it could still be done a little bit better. I think they try to make it more dynamic, how it looks like in Honkai Star Rail, but it still lacks a little bit. It just needs a little bit to look a little bit better, in my opinion. And what's the other thing? To get into the new storyline, you actually get to meet the Water Archon like very early in this game. Unlike the other regions where you kind of have to wait a little bit before you meet their Archon. I think Sean Lee took quite a while because it was like this whole mystery. Is like, hell, where is this guy? And it took a while to meet him. It's almost like the first version when you meet Venti, which is pretty early. And Water Archon is a brat. Uh, every character is like, she's a irredeemable character. And it's like, is she gonna be redeemable? It's like, we hope not, I guess. Because all the characters, you know, they either have a goody two-shoe arc where they redeem themselves. It's like, I think we need a character that does not redeem themselves. They need to be a complete scum. But, I don't know, I think she might be too popular at this moment. I mean, she does like all these like Phoenix Wright poses. Like she brings you into this court, and there's all these like scenes with her. So, and
Okay.
and to
All
make
right.
it even like bigger deal than it is like she's actually voiced by Inori Minase in the Japanese version, and
That's funny.
she's a big deal in Japan. So,
Mhm.
like, I know people that would literally wail for characters that she voice. So that is gonna drive people into bankruptcy pretty soon. So
So how far along are we like on the Genshin storyline? After this, how many Archons are technically quote unquote left, or like till you start running out?
I think there's probably like 3 more to go, technically. And even if they run out of Archons, I think one of the storyline is goes like that they mention is that they need to travel into different like worlds once they're done with this place. So I'm guessing that that's kind of like what they have in store if they ran out of Archons because the
Go
world
to
that they're
another
exploring is
planet.
done. Yeah,
Just do
that
the
that
Honkai Star Rail thing.
yeah, that's my guess at least. Uh,
No,
but yeah.
that's far away though.
It's very
But
far away. Most of like the people that play Genshin, they're speculating the next Archon is the Archon of Fire or Pyro, depending on how you want to say it. They're guessing it's Vanessa. The thing is, Vanessa is this character that you read about in the comics. The thing is, a lot of Genshin lore is thrown in a spin-off manga, and not everyone reads it, so they don't kind of know some of this lore. And I feel that's uh, kind of weird. It's like it kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy 15, where in order to get the lore of some of the plot, you had to watch a movie to get the prologue. And if you want to understand some of the characters that join Noctis's party, you have to watch this spin-off OVA to cover their side story. And that reading manga of Genshin feels like that kind of idea. And I'm not sure if I'm all for it. I feel like if you can't tell all the story within your game, you basically wrote a bad story, in my opinion.
so
At least.
Dragon Garden year, garbage.
But you know, it's like I
Yeah,
think the stories
I
all
get you.
done.
I
Yeah,
get you. Yeah.
but yeah, I think
Uh,
this patch is hype, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, I can't talk everything about it, but this is like this whole entire patch. I've been watching it from a friend's experience where he's trying to get me to come back and play with him.
well, I
And I'm
mean,
not.
like I mean, yeah, like this is like one of those like it's a roller coaster with you, right? You're gonna say it's so fucking back. The next 3 patches, it's so fucking over. And then the
Yeah,
next patch, or so back. Like,
yeah. That's my experience with Genshin, and I try to stay away from it because in a lot of gacha games I play, I don't like to be weak. I like to go overboard and make my character super strong, even though it's like, who the hell you're flexing to? Nobody cares, right? Because in the end, it's a bad habit of mine. So it's like I try to stay away from it, or else I might lock into this whale addiction again.
You're just trying to establish dominance
Yeah.
in a single player game.
But-
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about Genshin before we move on?
No, I think that's a good amount of it. I don't want to talk too much about it because this is like a secondhand experience. I'm not the guy experiencing it. I'm watching it from my whale friend showing me everything.
Wait, you're not even playing it? You're just watching someone play it?
I'm watching my whale friend playing it, and we actually played a lot together back in the day. He would try to like brainstorm how to clear Spiral Abyss with certain characters with me, and we would do it, and we were like, "Oh yeah, this totally works." We always discuss on how we play these games, on what we should whale for, on Honkai Star Rail, and this as well. So we play both games. He wasn't actually into Honkai Star Rail. He actually had never even heard of it, despite being a big Genshin fan. I told him, "It's like, have you tried Honkai Star Rail?" And now he ends up whaling it now. So now he whales both games, and now he has to control his budget for once. But I know it sounds kind of awkward that I'm not the one playing it, but I feel that we both understand this game enough that I think it's okay.
Okay.
Honestly, I think a lot of people, experience games secondhand by watching streamers or whoever play it.
Yep.
That's fine.
Right.
So, or friends, in your case,
Yeah, I was watching some friends play the Blaze Blue Entropy Effect roguelike game that came out, and I'm like, this is...
I hear it's good. I bought it. I haven't booted it up yet for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Is it very early access, or is it actually?
It's pretty early access. I think behind it, think of it like Dead Cells with the Blaze Blue characters, but it's like there's a lot of like really bad imbalances between like the characters. Like there are some very clear winners and very clear losers in the current roster. It's interesting, I guess. But yeah, like the two top tier characters like Hakumen and Ragnar right now, really funny. Okay. As for me,
Okay, Josh, where do you think you caught your illness from?
I don't know. I think it has to be on a plane. I think it has to be on the plane.
Why were you on a plane?
I was on a plane because Cygames flew me out to San Francisco a few weeks back. Because they had this whole international media tour going around, because back in April they established the Cygames America and Cygames Europe Western branches. And this kind of like their coming out party of like introducing themselves formally to Western media and everything. So their first stop after Evo was like San Francisco, and I think they went to London for the Cygames Europe side. So they flew me over to say what's up. It was a lot of fun. They basically had showcasing the Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, which is the follow up to the fighting game that they released a few years back, and they also had Grand Blue Fantasy Relink there. So they were starting off the event. They showed off like presentations to the press, participating there for both titles. Obviously, I wasn't really there for the fighting game because, we kind of, I'm sure us and a lot of our audience are way more interested in one Grand Blue title over the other. And this thing, so I focus primarily on Relink.
Now, you can't really talk. You can say that you saw it, but you can't actually really talk about what you saw.
Then, we can talk about it in my next podcast. We can talk about it, but I learned some stuff there that we'll all learn together soon. And then I also have a few features up. I think there's a cool chat I had with the Cygames folks. I think a lot of people will like the interview that came out of that. That's primarily focused on Relink. About it, and I think it answers a lot of questions that people are having too. So there's kind of just more of like a heads up of like, it was a cool trip, and to expect more Grand Blue stuff in a little bit. It was also nice just like doing these types of events again after first, this is like the first time I've really done it after the post COVID like pandemic type stuff. So it was nice getting my feet wet again, and I'll be at PAX West in a few weeks also, and I have a lot of checking out a lot of interesting stuff there as well. So you know, hopefully I'm like 100% okay by then. I think it will. Um,
Hopefully, yeah.
yeah, it just sucked to come back from the trip. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
Do we think Relink hits this year?
I can't confirm or deny that. I can't confirm or deny.
Do we know? Do you know? We'll just leave it at
No,
that. You don't know?
You're probably putting him under pressure here.
no. So
This actually wouldn't be the first time we sort of slyly pretend we don't know something. Wait, did I say that out loud? We'll leave it.
people are gonna be like, oh shit. Okay. And then since we're like we're about to get into the fall season for games, I think there's just like an open call of like what people can expect in the upcoming weeks and months for games now that summer's about to be over. For some people, school's starting up again, and of course for a lot of people, it's like, okay, what am I gonna be playing this fall?
Yeah, so we don't normally do this, but we're kind of, Baldur's Gate 3 obviously came out a few weeks ago, and I think a lot of us are still playing that in some form since it's a huge game. Some of us are playing other games that we can't talk about yet. It was a kind of a quiet week, so we sort of figured we'll just take a kind of a brief look at like what's coming out for the rest of the year and what people are really like excited about or interested in. So the big one next month is Starfield, and that's it's been a long time since we've had a proper Bethesda RPG like this, because the most recent one was Fallout 76, which is sort of like an online one, which I know Brian played a good chunk of it, but I think broadly speaking, it seems like Fallout 76 kind of had a bad launch and sort of eventually ended up in an okay spot, but it's still understandable that it may not have been what people were hoping for. And what was the last one before that? Fallout 4? And like
That was 2015.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So Starfield kind of offers that sort of big, huge, broad Bethesda RPG. Probably I don't even want to guess like scope compared to the other games. It sounds like it's absolutely massive. James is playing it, but he can't say anything about it.
I am playing it right now.
So that one, it's sort of, Baldur's Gate 3 is taking over this month. That might take over September. But there's a lot of other stuff coming out too, in September especially.
Yeah, I mean, you also had the PS5 launch of Baldur's Gate as well.
Yeah,
next month for console players.
I know someone who's, they were excited about Baldur's Gate 3. They don't play on PC. They didn't really think it was going to be, as well. I guess no one really thought it was going to be as big as it seems to be in terms of reception, in terms of it's everywhere, in terms of people playing it, impressions, thoughts. So I definitely know a couple people really excited for the PlayStation 5 release, which is kind of amusing in that it releases literally on the same day as Starfield.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. You have a PlayStation and an Xbox RPG, sort of. But anyway, one other game I'm really interested in I've said this before actually, in September, is Legend of Neuta. James talked about it a couple months ago, several months ago, when he played the actual.
The end of last year.
Did you play the Switch version?
No, I played the PC version.
Oh,
it's already
Steam
out
Deck.
on PC.
Yep.
Yeah. I did also get a small chance a few weeks ago to check out NIS America's PlayStation version. Didn't write anything about it because it's like, well,
you already wrote a preview, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I'm excited about that. It kind of feels like, it kind of appears to be more of like a mid, like an earlier age Falcom game. I'm kind of interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably in my top like 5 Falcom games I played. So.
And I still see confusion about this, and this probably won't go away. It is not actually tied to the Trails series, the Koseki series. It has a similar title, but it's its own thing. So that feels sort of intentional that they kind of conflate the two almost. But I'm really interested in that. Josh, what are you looking forward to in September or later?
Let's see. It's September. I kind of want to check out the Rhapsody.
Oh yeah, that's late August.
Yeah,
I never played the remaster of the original one that released.
Yeah, I'd like those just like really like old timey sort of feeling games, and it's also kind of novel. Just like having just 2 new localizations to the rest.
Yeah, we
with it.
talked about that's that's honestly extremely cool, just to take a game that's like 20 years old and like just do a new localization, or not really even a new localization, like just localize it. We saw that with sort of with Live Alive. I know it had a fan
Yeah.
translation, but I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
I mean,
I
Rune
get
Factory 3 has the same experience. New localization.
Well, I
Fun.
don't. I mean, like, as far as I know, these Rhapsody games, I don't know if they had.
it's like
They
for the
never
first,
had a
it's like for the
localization.
first time.
Yeah,
this is
Yeah, it's for the first time.
which I just think that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I think I've said on a podcast before that I kind of appreciate NAS America's effort to release all of their catalog games and put them on modern platforms like Switch and PC. I know some of them have had like some buggy issues and whatnot that aren't perfect. That I know some of them have been ironed out, and maybe some of them haven't, but still, just the concept of just a company saying, "Hey, all of our classic catalog of games that you can no longer purchase on old platforms, we're gonna just bring them to Steam, bring them to Switch, some light upgrades. They're not like full remasters; they're just sort of touched up so that they are playable and they work. Plus new ones like these that are localized for the first time. I just think that's really cool, and I could probably spend a whole year playing through some of the NIS back catalog because it's all available on Steam. There's like Soul Nomad, there's Phantom Brave, there's a lot of the Disgaias except three is missing. There's Makai Kingdom, there's ZHP, there's a lot, and now more Rhapsody games. So I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, I guess they also finally gave a release date to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, so I guess I have to touch that a little next month too. See
September
what the
7th.
full release is all about.
Other releases in September include Lies of P. That is the next what NeoWiz. It's the NeoWiz Pinocchio Souls-like. There's Batten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD Remaster for Switch. I like those games. I played them. I kind of don't want to play them on Switch. There was a rating somewhere, I forget where, Gamatsu covered it for a PC release, which sometimes those are just errors where literally they just checked a box where they like, oh, we accidentally clicked PC when we didn't mean PC, but still I'm just gonna hold off a little bit because I kind of want to play those games, but I'd rather.
Yeah, if there's a chance, and then September's already packed, if that has to be fall through the cracks.
Batten Kaitos are really cool. They were kind of co-developed between Monolith Soft, which obviously Xenoblade fans are aware of, as well as Tri Crescendo, which is sort of a spin-off of Tri-Ace. And they're really cool games. The first game, I think, is cool conceptually with some rough edges in its combat, and I think the second game kind of soups that up, kind of shores it all up. I think it's honestly an excellent card-based kind of turn, fast, fluid combat system. And then what else? We have Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest comes out at the end of September. That game I'm not so sure on. It seems like it's sort of a. It seems like it's sort of like one of those anime arena fighter games, only RPG-ified. RPG-ified? Is that a word?
I don't know what to make of it. Like, it's one of those things, like, I won't really know what to think of it until like I play it for myself, because it's so like, I understand, like, it's based, but it seems, but it's only going up to a certain part of the story of that original story. It feels like it doesn't even have, like, the whole story in it already, and they're already pitching that. So it's like it's sort of like existing in this weird realm where, like, you're going into it knowing that it won't be the full story already. It's weird.
I also want to point out
it goes up to episode of the anime. Like, they even say it goes up to episode X of the anime.
Yeah, it's some arc ending, which I'm not familiar with. You'd be familiar with it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that this game, while it does have Japanese voices, of course, it has a Canadian English dub, which I kind of find that fun. Get the Canadian voice actors in there.
I talk about the ocean dub from Dragon Ball is better than what it's currently dubbed.
Brian Drummond voices several of the characters in this game, and he is the ocean dub voice of Vegeta. He's literally the voice of several of these characters in this game. That was actually revealed in a trailer, or at least in a news post that Square Enix put up this week. So I just think that's cool. Monster
Yeah,
Hunter
yeah.
Stories 2 had a Canadian dub. For what it's worth.
Oh yeah.
I just think that's quaint. That's fun.
There's a Fate Samurai Remnant
Yep, that's
coming out
that's
around that.
that's kind of the biggest release at the end of the month for Fate fans, Koei Tecmo fans. This feels like the biggest budget Fate game. I know it's not like huge budget, but it seems really solid compared to maybe some of the Extella games from a couple years back.
Yeah, I only briefly played a bit of it at Anime Expo, but it seems very interesting. It's like one of those things where, and we even kind of on my preview got a comment, which usually can be good or bad, but I got a comment basically saying that yeah, a lot of like Musou type games coming out of Koei Tecmo over the last like half a decade or so, maybe even a bit more than that, have really done a good job of differentiating themselves. So it's like it's not always going to be the same sort of game you play, even if it's from like the same studio under Koei Tecmo these days. Like I'm super excited, like interested to see what the reception is for this.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it for myself. But there's been a lot of like interest from like outside circles even around this game. So
It also seems like the perfect game to be like an entry point to this sort of Fate stuff. I know there's always going to be lore things and character references that people who are in the fandom or at least are aware of it will catch. But since this game seems to be set in like an alternate universe sort of Fate, an alternate universe version of the Fate kind of structure, it seems like it's sort of a perfect starting point. It's not a sequel. It's not 100 years before some other event or whatever. It's literally just a separate universe with sort of the same rules that governs the Fate stuff. So that's cool. And of course, people who are not newcomers but are familiar with the series probably will have plenty of, references, calls, that you'll catch. So
yeah, moving out to October, like right away, at the beginning of October, we have Disgaea 7 and Silent Hope releasing.
yeah.
So, obviously Disgaea 7 going to be next mainline Disgaea, and then a lot of people seem to be down on 6, so hopefully 7 can win some of that back.
Yeah, October.
That sure is what NIS America's hoping for.
Yeah.
They've really been making like a point to like say this is not 6. This is not 6. We're sorry. That's not even an exaggeration. Like literally, they had the director at their headquarters when I was there a couple of months ago playing some games, and they were just like, "Hey, just it is nice to see them being proactive about that at least." So hopefully it works out for them. I've heard good things about the Japanese release from a couple of buddies of mine that have played it. So looks like it should be good.
Yeah, October is not as packed as September in terms of the RPGs. I know there's some other big releases in October, like for example Spider-Man, but we wouldn't.
Alan Wake 2, which just got delayed, which probably was smart.
Wait, what was that?
Alan Wake 2 being delayed.
Yeah.
Wait, what was delayed? I missed
it.
What was delayed? I missed it.
Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2.
Oh, that. I actually didn't catch that Alan Wake was delayed.
I think that was good
yesterday.
Because that was like there's so many games that was coming out during that time, so it being delayed was a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm really curious to see how Silent Hope shapes up. I think I'm gonna be checking that out at PAX West.
Yeah.
And like I think it's one of those kind of games that flies under the radar, and it's kind of I think the concept of it is pretty interesting because when we play RPGs, especially older ones, they don't have any voice acting, so people talk to each other through text, but without any voices. What if you actually contextualize the game where like there's actually very very few voices, if like almost no voices? So how do you like kind of build a game around that?
Yeah, and just for people who aren't aware, Silent Hope is an RPG from Marvelous, so that's Xseed, set in the Rune Factory universe. I don't know how it's set in that universe, but it is somehow. And it sort of looks like people have compared it to Dragalia Lost, kind of this same kind of chibi-ish art style, same sort of like camera angles, similar looking combat. It may not actually be much like Dragalia Lost at all, but it seems like it at least sort of has that appearance anyway. So Rune Factory fans should maybe at least keep an eye out on it because it seems like, it's tied into that franchise. Probably the biggest like budget game that comes out in October in terms of RPGs is Lords of the Fallen, which is it was a sequel, or actually no, they did call it.
It is still technically a sequel.
Yeah,
It used to be. Yeah. There was initially revealed that it had the 2 at the end.
Yeah, I think they're. I'm not gonna look it up right now, but I think the press releases now call it like a reboot or reimagining or whatever.
It is still technically a sequel. It's just like supposed to be like over 1,000 years in the future, so it's like might as well be a reboot.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. They've actually had a lot of gameplay footage on this, so there's plenty to find.
I played it.
Yeah. And you've had a preview, right? It's got this dual world mechanic where you have like a living world and a dead world that you kind of traverse between. That's its gimmick, how it sets it apart from other Souls-like RPGs.
Yeah, they actually have like a solid like concept of it on their hands.
Yeah.
Like, that's me.
Is it Unreal Engine 5?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's I think it's interesting that it's from a brand new studio, Hexworks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From like being published by CI Games. That's always interesting to see, like a new studio with, no group pedigree. Obviously, this developers working there from other studios that have pedigrees, but just kind of interesting to see, like, this is a debut project, see how it turns out. Otherwise, the rest of October, there's some smaller games. Do we have any Sword Art Online fans?
Yes.
Ciao?
Log in.
We do have one guy that is an Isekai expert. If we ping him Sora online, he'll come no matter what.
Yeah, there's a Sword Art.
I'll be there no matter what.
There's another Sword Art Online game coming out in October. It's called Last Recollection. It seems like it's very similar to the previous game, which is Alicization Lycoris. It seems like it looks very similar to that in terms of its style. I'm sure. I think Josh played that a little bit.
I did, and I also had several friends like years later who like picked it up and like got super into it.
Apparently, it's pretty robust mechanically. Yeah. This game.
So they're like actually looking forward to this. I'm like, all right.
I know one thing about this game that's sort of funny is when they were showing it at Anime Expo, they revealed like it was supposed to be like a super secret bombshell, if you will. Where, like every Sword Art Online game kind of has that sort of kind of goofy gimmick where they introduce a new girl. There's like a new girl for every Sword Art Online game, and there's been a lot of them. And then they're like all of these different new girls from each of the games. They're all in this one, every single one. So it's Kirito's biggest harem ever in this game.
And then they're not canon because they're not part of the main story.
Nope, they're all the original game characters, but they're all here.
Everyone's here.
The producer even said that on the at the Anime Expo panel, like everybody is here sort of Sakurai Smash Bros ish.
Just what we always wanted from SAO.
Yeah, all the new girls from SAO. But yeah, that's coming out. I'm not an SAO fan, but for those who are, there's that. And then there's Cry Machina.
Yeah.
That came out in Japan, didn't it? I have not heard a thing.
No idea. The 1.0 release of World of Horror is also this October as well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. It's always been a game that's like I've had my eye on it, but I've always been waiting for the full release because it's had its own fair share of trials and tribulations getting to full release. But once it's out there, I'm really gonna sink my teeth into it. Let's see what else here. I think that does it for October. November. Do we have any like?
November has some slashy RPGs.
Oh yeah.
If you import, there is the Detective Pikachu for Switch in Japan. If you import, my friends are trying to get me to like pre-order.
Yeah, is that an RPG?
Is it? I don't know. I never played it.
No,
it's more like adventure.
Yeah, but you wanna import it? Go for it, Chow.
No, they want me to import it so they could get all the pre-order bonuses because Nintendo products for them is always gone in an instant.
November starts off with a banger right away with the remake of the Star Ocean 2.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Star Ocean 2, still many people consider it the best in the series. I know some people consider it the only game in the series. That's good. That was before Star Ocean 6 released, which I think a lot of people were positive on. Maybe not like a super duper excellent game, but people thought was pretty good. But Star Ocean 2 is a very beloved original PlayStation game. I remember when we actually reported, we were the first to cover the leaked logo for this game.
Yeah.
When it was before it was announced. I remember we sort of thought, and people thought that, oh, it's just going to be like the First Departure remaster, which was basically it's just the PSP version with new art, which is fine. I actually reviewed that game. I am not a huge fan of it. I gave it a 6. I just think it's sort of average, mediocre, some interesting ideas amidst other not so good ideas. But Star Ocean 2, much better story. People like the characters, and this is more of like a full remake. I forget what they called it. It's not HD 2D.
2D.
Yeah, it's like I think they called it like 3D 2D or something. Kind of silly.
Oh Jesus!
Like 2D sprites on a 3D world.
Just call it 5D. It's okay. Just call it 5D.
5D.
I'm reading that Cry Machina game. It came out in Japan last week, and it's already discounted for 25% off. The average score is 3.5 out of 5. Is that good or a bad thing?
I don't know. It
Sounds
Sounds
like
like
a-
Japan's extremely harsh.
Sounds like a Furyu game. Is it a Furyu game?
Yes, it is. So from what I got from random people's review there, they said it is more linear than Crystalis or whatever? More linear, Crystar. More linear, more straightforward. Doesn't feel as grindy, but this game is extremely short. You can finish in 10 hours.
Oh, okay.
So-
I think we had one of our reviewers review Crystar. I forget who reviewed it. But they were.
I think I'm trying to remember who.
It was Lucas.
Yeah, it was Lucas. Yeah.
Oh, Lucas did. Yes, I remember he was liking the game, but then it does this sort of Bravely Defaultish thing near the end where you kind of have to go through a loop, and it gets really kind of tedious. Where there's a story reason for it, but wasn't too fond of it. Anyways, this game, I don't know if they ever really confirmed has actually anything to do with Crystar other than a similar name and a similar aesthetic. But yeah, that's coming out in October. So anyways, Chow, thanks for distracting us. We're back. We're actually talking about November now. Okay.
Come on, Chow.
Yeah. Star
I'm a
Ocean.
time traveler now.
So Star Ocean is November 2nd. The
Like a
biggest.
Dragon Gaiden is after that, right?
Yep. And we'll talk about later. We got a new trailer for that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Everyone wanted to get a Persona 5 tactics game, right? Everybody
right.
wanted that.
Everyone wanted strategy RPG, Residence of Fate, Persona 5 style.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to play the gacha game with the Sensor Mara?
Yeah, Persona 5 Tactica. It was like an XCOM-ish tactical Persona 5 game.
Honestly, I hope that's a decent game. Like,
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna play it.
It's a game that's sort of hard to get a read on because it could be, it could be cool. It could be like a cool little tactical RPG with the Persona characters that we're all familiar with if you played Persona 5. But I could also see it being kind of cheap and lazy.
I think it also just has the curse of like always being like it was revealed with Persona 3, the Persona 3 remake. So
Yeah,
like
it's
it's like
sort
it's
of
like kind of lives in the shadow of that.
Do we know who's developing this? Is it Atlas? Is it like, I don't know. Is it the Devil Survivor team?
I think it's P Studio,
Okay.
from as far as I know. So yeah,
It'll be interesting to see the credits on that.
yeah.
Like, is it the Devil Survivor team? I know they ended up. It changes a bit. I know that team ultimately ended up doing Soul Hackers too.
Right.
So I'm curious about like who's actually making this game and who's on it. But I'll probably play it. I'm interested in it. If you look at Atlas's channels for this game, you'd be tricked to think it's only coming out for Xbox. That's always fun.
We're no strangers to strategy RPGs. So
No.
yeah. We'll play it. When it comes out, we'll usually play it.
And on the same day, there's the Super Mario RPG remake. And that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be one of those things that like people will kind of get done with it pretty fast. It's not like a long game.
No, it's not.
No.
But it's very charming. I think the
Yeah.
original game, I played it when it came to I never played it in the Super Nintendo days. I played it when it came to Wii Virtual Console, a decade ago or 15 years ago or whenever that was. And it's a pretty fun game. It is short. I'm assuming the remake will
not
be a little
difficult.
bit cleaner in terms of its presentation. Maybe not so.
Don't go into it like expecting like a challenging RPG.
No, it's a
much
very
like
it's a very entry level RPG. It's the
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of RPG you could give your, you could play when you're 7 years old or whatever,
Yeah.
which I'm sure a lot of people my age did. So, but that'll be fun. It'll be fun to see that. And then the
Yeah.
one Western RPG that comes out in November that amongst these Japanese RPGs that is interesting is Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. This is from Dontnod, how do you pronounce it?
Oh.
The studio behind the original Life is Strange and Life is Strange 2, but maybe more appropriately, they were the studio behind Vampire back in 2018, I believe, which is sort of like a London vampire RPG. So this is sort of their next RPG project. The general premise, as I understand it, is that you have ghost hunters, and one of the ghost hunters is a ghost. There's like a married couple, but the woman is dead. It's kind of the twist there, or in the premise. So it's an action RPG. I'm kind of interested in it. I never played Vampire. I heard that game was fine, good, maybe not excellent, but not too bad. I know we have it reviewed on the site. I believe Kyle reviewed it. But yeah, that's outside of these big Western RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Starfield. There's that one coming out from a smaller studio, Dontnod.
Yeah, and then once again in this year's December we have the obligatory Switch exclusive Dragon Quest game.
Which will get a PC release in July 2024. Probably.
Probably.
I'm guessing. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince, which is also known as Dragon Quest Monsters 3. We just don't
Yep.
get the 3. So that game features Sorrow, how you pronounce his name. He's the villain from Dragon Quest 4. Very cool looking character. It's sort of it feels kind of like Dragon Quest Treasures in that it's kind of connected to one of the mainline games. In Treasure's case, it was 11. In this case, it's 4, but not like on its face canonically a prequel or whatever.
Yeah, it's more like an aesthetic for it.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. I'll check it out just like I did with Treasures, but maybe I'll wait for PC.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Because technically that'd be like the cutoff for Game of the Year stuff. Like we wouldn't be able to have Dragon Quest Monsters.
Yeah.
The Dark Prince.
Yeah. So our for people who aren't aware, we've been doing this for a long time now, probably more than. Well, I guess the December cutoff we might have adjusted maybe like 3 years ago, but our years go December to December. That's just the easiest when we have like our month long reader poll and things like that to kind of schedule it that way. So anything that comes out in December 2023 is not eligible for any of our Game of the Year accolades or discussion. That's for next year. So that also means that anything that came out last December we will consider this year. So what is that? Did
anything come out last December?
There was a Crisis Core remaster. There was Dragon Quest Treasures. I'm trying to think what else. There was the Minstrel Song remaster, so that might be in the remaster category. There was Valkyrie Profile. That was more of a port though, so that doesn't count.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that even came out.
Yeah.
You should.
But yeah, so our end of the year stuff goes December to December. Now, I have my list of RPGs here. Other RPGs that are not dated, that were at one point at least given a 2023 window, but may not hit this year. I've been doing this for a long time. Almost a lot of these will move to next year. I'm curious about those level 5 games that were shown in a Nintendo Direct, like back in April or May.
They had gameplay and everything. Are they just going to show them at TGS?
I'm not sure, because in the most recent Nintendo Direct, they didn't show up. So it was like 2 Nintendo Directs ago. There's Fantasy Life I. There's, Deca Police, which is kind of this interesting like London detective adventure RPG. And there was a few others. There's a Leighton game, wasn't there? That's not an RPG.
Yeah. Were they all dated 2023?
Yeah, at the time they were.
Yeah.
So like, will those hit this year? Will those move next year? When will we see them again? I'm not sure. I'm looking at there's a lot of indie RPGs that are coming out that don't have dates yet, which is pretty typical for indie RPGs. They're just kind of when they're ready. They're ready when they're ready. There's the Suikoden remaster That was originally scheduled for this year. Now, we haven't heard anything from that since last TGS, so it's been a while. So maybe we'll get an update this TGS when that's coming out. And I think that's it. There's a lot of indies that I'm not mentioning, so I'm sure there's going to be some gems in there. But yeah, that's the rest of the year for RPGs. So September is pretty packed. October's got a few releases. Then November is pretty packed. I just need to finish Baldur's Gate 3. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a marathon game. Like I'll get to it when I get to it. Yeah, because right now that co-op playthrough is basically my main one for it. But
yeah, so you got to time it with your friends and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah. So other than that, that's the upcoming RPGs we're looking forward to. There are some articles that went up on the site this week. Quentin got up his or their Baldur's Gate 3 review. And yeah, I mean,
yeah. So Quentin was you weren't on the podcast last week, Josh, but it's essentially he talked his review in podcast form last week, and that's the written form. So
okay, so yeah, gave it a 10, and no one really had any complaints.
No,
you know.
The only things he kind of criticized, which I think is pretty common, is that they said bugs. It's such a dense game. There's a lot of flexibility in what you can do. There's sort of inevitable that there's going to be some wonkiness here or there. I think a lot of people sort of accept that for a game like this. That there's just going to be sometimes it just things aren't super, well polished because there's so many different permutation of events and combat and positioning and line of sight and everything. That weird things can happen sometimes. A little bit critical of some of the tutorialization. In terms of like knowing exactly how things work or what they can do. I know Brian was pretty positive on a lot of the tooltips, a lot of the menus, but that's something you can always improve. And then just some technical things here and there. I didn't actually look at our comments on our review tweet when we posted it, but I'm sure someone complained, how can we give it a 10 if we criticize bugs? And it's like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. A 10 on our site. The best way to describe it is that it's our highest possible recommendation. It does not mean perfect. It does not mean flawless. It just means out of all the RPGs that are available, this gets our highest possible recommendation. And I think a lot of people would agree with that.
We also have a preview up for Fate Samurai Remnant from the other Josh 2.
Not Josh Prime.
Yeah. So give that a read as well, as we're waiting for the full release of Fate Samurai Remnant in late September. You only got to play like a little bit of the beginning of the game.
It seems like it was a pretty solid chunk. Sometimes when Koei Tecmo gives preview options, it's actually just the full game that they get ahead of time. I guess in this case it wasn't the full game. It was like a preview slice, but apparently it was a really meaty one. I think Josh said, the other Josh, about 7 hours he was able to put into it. So
yeah, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The whole last game.
Yeah, it could also be a case where it is the full game, just specifically forbade from going past a certain point.
I think if I read it correctly, it wasn't actually. It literally cut off at some eventually, which is a little different than previous preview options.
Yeah,
but I know Josh was really excited for this game. Other Josh, I think our Josh is also excited for this game.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Kind of a funny behind the scenes thing here is he apparently took more than 200 screenshots of the preview and just uploaded them to our media manager all at once. And then it failed sort of because we don't normally upload 200 screenshots all at once. And so he did the thing that anyone would do and tried again. And now we have more than 400 screenshots, kind of some of them broken because they didn't upload properly when you do that many in our back end for this game. I think he's liking this game if he's taking all these screenshots for it. So that's just kind of funny seeing that. What did you do with our media manager?
We also had a freelancer check out some games at Bit Summit with things like Cuisinier and Fleapit. Alex commissioned their pen name is Double Soul. So go check out some. Yeah, some games for some.
He's also going to be at TGS with me, so more to come.
I read this Freaked. So this game that he covered at Bit Summit was called Freaked Fleapit. And if you're not aware, and I wasn't aware, a flea pit is like an abandoned theater. I guess it's like I think it's like British slang or European slang of some form. And he saw this game at Bit Summit, which is a Japanese sort of indie convention. But this game is not actually made by Japanese developers, I believe. I believe they're British or European in some form, just showcasing the game in Japan. Don't quote me on that. But it's sort of like a adventure game, Crypt of the Necrodancer, and dating sim, kind of hybrid game. It's pixel art. It's got like an anime art style, but it's got a kind of a unique. It's not like it doesn't look like generic anime. It's kind of like this sort of cartoony anime, kind of like a mix between like anime inspired Western cartoonish sort of art to it, which I actually kind of like. It stands out. It's unique. It is a dating sim, so a lot of female characters. You know, some of them are a little bit, just how do I put this? Some fan servicey designs in there, which is fine.
If I read the preview right, it sounds like the studio head is a woman. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. But it's that sort of cheesy game, dating sim elements to it. It seems like kind of an interesting kind of mismatch of genres that you don't see very often. It's on Steam. Doesn't have a release date, but check it out if that sounds interesting to you. You're kind of like Crypt of the Necrodancer in a dilapidated movie theater dating anime girls. So,
yeah, and then we also have another one from Double Soul, checking out Cuisinier, and my friend backed that up, saying that like they checked that out at a Steam Fest demo and like they really enjoyed it as well. It's kind of like a farming sim, town sim sort of RPG, and obviously by the name, very food focused. So yeah, give those a read. And then, moving on to the news of this week. The first headline that we have here is there's a free-to-play pixel art tactical RPG, Sword of Convallaria, coming later this year to mobile devices and PC. I've seen this here and there, like during like sort of like the mobile game fests, like that I think that go on like during China Joy or something. So I've seen it here and there, but this kind of like the first good look at it.
Our tweet on this kind of actually it tracked pretty well. It got a lot of retweets, a lot of quotes, a lot of likes.
I seem very interested in this game. The only problem I'm worried about is what is the business model of this game?
It is free to play, so it kind of reminds me something like what's that Brave Exvius Tactics Final Fantasy game?
War of the Visions.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a tactical RPG with gacha elements. I'm actually not familiar with the developer of this game, but they have Hitoshi Sakamoto doing the soundtrack. If you're not familiar, he did Valkyria Chronicles, Final Fantasy 12. His company Base Escape does a ton of other stuff, although they also have other composers. I think he did Odin Sphere, a lot of stuff. Sakamoto's great. Dragon Quarter, Breath of Fire. And what's sort of interesting is that one of the kind of marketing angles to this game is that they interviewed Matsuno, everyone's favorite Matsuno, about basically, hey, Matsuno is the brains behind Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. He's, everyone who loves Tactics RPGs knows Matsuno, and Matsuno basically was kind of praising this game. They had an interview in Famitsu about the game. I don't think he's actually like contributing to the game in any sense, but basically talking to the developers about the game, kind of
gave it his blessing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. It's got good art style. Both the pixel art and the character art seems pretty nice. But yeah, like Chow said, it is a free to play kind of mobile RPG. So I know that immediately will shut some people off. But it'll be interesting to see. It seems like a lot of people at least like how the game looks.
Yeah,
Princess in this game looks like Eldegard from Fire Emblem Free Houses.
Sort of.
Yeah, we'll see how it shapes up. These sorts of releases are always kind of like, we'll see. A lot of it does boil down to like how the monetization model shapes up. It's just it's always a shame, and like you have like a really really cool looking game, but it's like kind of hampered by those bad business practices. Next up, we have Netease Games announces an urban open world RPG Project Mugen. This is kind of this seems to be like their answer to like Zenless Zone Zero from Hoyoverse.
Yeah. So this
Beat them to the
announcement is sort
punch.
of a pre-announcement. It seems like the full reveal is at Gamescom. I don't know if it's going to be on like the Gamescom main stage or just during the overall Gamescom event. But it looks it's from NetEase is the publisher. The developer is Naked Rain, who I think is a newly developed or a new studio from NetEase, and it's got the cell shaded style and kind of aesthetic similar to a Genshin or a Zenless Zone Zero or Honkai Star Rail. Got that sort of cell shaded anime aesthetic. All
Yeah,
we
they,
have
they
right now are like some of these gifs that I think come from the official Discord, but they were
they're,
shared, and it looks
they're
pretty
pretty
good.
lively. Yeah, yeah. Like there's like the gifts themselves are really cool. Like the brief combat footage
The
of like this
yo-yo
dude.
fight. The
Yeah,
yo-yos are one of the best RPG weapons. I
yeah.
declare
There's
it.
like dual yo-yos that like spin up and look like windmills when they like when they go
They're
bloated
heavily
size.
inspired by
Yeah,
Bridget from Guilty Gear.
Just yo-yos in
yeah.
general are
What
just
else?
an excellent RPG weapon. I will
Yeah.
play the yo-yo character. Anyways, this game is coming similar to Genshin. It's a PC and mobile game with it also has a PlayStation 5 version announced. Also a cloud version, so I'm interested how that
Oh,
works. Uh,
okay.
but otherwise, other than those four gifts and like the title, and there's a little bit of art. There's a character. There's three female characters. There's like one of them's got bunny ears. One of them's got like a leather suit, so on and so forth. But we'll get a trailer next week, I assume, for this game.
Yeah, Gamescom is this week, so we're
Yep.
expecting a lot of news.
Yeah. So this week maybe a little bit lighter on the news, but next week we probably will have quite a bit.
Yeah. There's a new look at like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. There's like a new overview trailer and developer update. It was presented by Masayoshi Yokoyama, who's the director of Gotoku Studio. And he kind of let us know. Um, Kind of showed off more obviously of the man who erased his name, and like the gameplay elements. Like how the slot car racing is back and how hostess clubs and so forth. But the main new news out of this was that the man who erased his name will have a demo for like a dragon infinite wealth, which is Yakuza 8 pretty
Which
much.
that comes out early next year. That's not that far away.
Yeah,
So
so people who complete the game will get treated to like a special demo. They'll have seats that's not like in the actual full infinite wealth game. um and yeah, that's really exciting. Like the teaser for it that they showed has like Kiryu reuniting with Ichiban. Ichiban's like in handcuffs. He's like freaking out over it, and he doesn't know the person behind him, like interrogating him about like why he's in handcuffs. And it's Kiryu with his new K-pop style hairstyle. Um, yeah, so I'm really looking forward to both of these games. Um, and
They,
that'll
they
be
also showed that pool.
oh yeah, the
I saw people mentioning this pool is like used in other things. Like must be
Not
some
safe for work content.
okay.
yeah. So
Well,
basically,
I also saw this pool was apparently in some common writer thing. I guess.
yeah, it's a pretty popular spot in Japan to like kind of joke over because like this spot with like the slanted windows, open windows with a pool is like it's used so much in Japanese adult videos. Like
Oh,
it's become kind of sort of like a running joke in Japan about this locale. So that's why you see a lot of like references to it in like other media in Japan because they poke fun at it because they use that spot so much.
is
So
it sort of like the Japanese version of a black couch?
almost, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're on the right track. So yeah, so they have that spot in the man who raised the name for some of the hostess videos. Very silly. Um, Valcom continues their East 10 Nordics um, marketing. They have a new trailer out for East 10 Nordics. I don't know if it shows off anything cool or new that you saw, Adam.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun trailer. It shows a lot of the character. So, first of all, let me say that Falcom usually actually doesn't release that many trailers for their games before they release them. They do a lot of like character art and screenshots and descriptions and things, but they usually just sort of stick to one trailer and maybe like a live stream. And this is basically the trailer for East 10 Nordics. But yeah, it shows a lot of the things they've kind of revealed already in terms of the characters. Obviously, the playable Adel and Karja, a lot of the villains that they're fighting against, which are these kind of invincible and vulnerable Griegers. They're like fishmen, I guess. It's using Falcom's new engine, and it shows one scene that's like a pretty fluid actually cutscene in the game with a lot of movement and cinematography and things. That's actually kind of nice. It's sort of a battle scene.
I think that new engine really benefits that this gives a lot in terms of like the action scenes and cinematography. As we're saying, like it's very expressive.
Yeah, like I think this scene it like shows like Adel casting a fireball, and the camera sort of tracks the fireball, and then kind of flips over to Karja on the other side of the field, doing her own thing with her axes, fighting one of the Grieger enemies. So it's very dynamic. It looks pretty cool. It's got that East butt rock type music that we all love. Yeah. I say that endearingly. So I'm excited for this game. I am so ready to play it in 2026.
I was gonna say, didn't what was it called? Leopard Entertainment did like a trailer for it, and it was all in English or something.
Yeah, Clouded Leopard actually released a action like introduction video. They released it in, I believe, a couple of languages, but in one of them was English, and basically just these are things we've mentioned before. How they've actually been basically giving out press releases for the game in English. Describing the characters and the systems, and here are all the English names. No guarantee they won't change for the Western release. But even though Clouded Leopard is releasing all this information in English, the game itself actually won't support English. That's pretty typical. But the trailer, they actually released a trailer maybe 2 weeks ago. It's more of a gameplay video that just shows, hey, here are mana actions, here are the ship battles and whatnot. And it's all with English, descriptions and everything. So it is sort of amusing to see this and be like, all right, we will actually get to play this in English in like 2 or 3 years.
Man, I find their relationship with Nisa and Cloud Leopard Entertainment is just so weird. They're like, these two companies are like cannibalizing their sales for like PC ports and stuff.
It's very. I know we talk about this all the time, but it's clearly that Clouded Leopard Entertainment gets access to the game to localize it to Asian languages while it's in development. But I know NIS America or other, Exceed or Access, whoever else, they don't get access to the game to start localizing it until it's done. At least that's how it has been. So why? I don't know. That's how they want to do it.
Well, I hope they change that. They want to get their Western audience.
And also kind of alongside that note, if you go to Steam and you search up any like recent Falcom game, East 9, Reverie, Trails into Reverie, or whatever, sometimes the title is different, but a lot of these games actually have 2 Steam listings because you have the NIS America release and the Clouded Leopard release. So if you look up East 9, you'll find it twice. That's just how it is. It's weird.
It's definitely not confusing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And people definitely have not accidentally fucking bought the wrong one.
But on the flip side, I know a lot of people bought Kuro and implanted a translation into it so they could play it, the Clouded Leopard version.
That's how it is until things change.
Mm-hmm.
Liza P receives a new How Many Lies trailer for Gamescom 2023. It's your typical small, short overview trailer of Liza P before it comes out. Nothing really it doesn't really show off anything new or that we haven't seen before.
I can't shake the feeling that Liza P is being developed by Round One Studio, which was the studio behind Bless Unleashed, which was catastrophically bad. So everything about Liza P itself seems fine. We'll see how it is when reviews come out. I don't know if we have anyone available to review it, but I remember when it was first announced, it's like, oh, the Bless Unleashed guys? Is that game even still available, or was that removed?
I remember that game. Wasn't it MMO, was it?
Well,
Yeah.
it was very weird. There's Bless the MMO, and then Bless Unleashed was sort of like a different version of the MMO. I guess Bless Unleashed is still available, but it's got a different publisher now. It's very
Oh
strange.
Jesus.
I think
And there's
Neoblaze or something. I don't
there's
know.
like a
No, it
mobile
was
version too,
NeoWiz. When
right?
I go to Steam now, it's Valloff. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, they've all been all over the place.
Yeah, the Bless games are very strange.
I remember they did something. I remember the game was sort of successful, and they did something weird with the monetization, and then everyone just started hating it.
Yeah.
Something like that. At least that's what I remembered.
So yeah, Liza P, September 19th. So there's nothing really else to say about it, really. It's coming soon. We also got a new trailer and screenshots for Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest, Adventure of Die, showing off some of the villains in here. And once again, it's kind of like kind of people who've followed the uh, Dragon Quest Die are familiar with these baddies. And it's cool to see them rendered in the game engine. But they haven't really. There's not really more else to say about this
Yeah.
game, right? It's
Yeah,
coming out.
they had, last month they introduced the main characters, which are Dai, Mom, Pop, and Uncle, and then this month they introduced some of the villains. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
like I said earlier, I don't. It's hard to get a read on this game. I don't know
September
if it's gonna be.
28th.
I have no idea if this game's gonna be any good.
Yeah, I think I've slated to review it. So we'll see,
Yeah.
I guess. So stay tuned. Tactical RPG Zoria Age of Shattering gets new gameplay trailer and a demo coming on August 25th, so a few days from now. So there's a CRPG, am I correct?
Yeah, it's like a tactical RPG,
Yeah.
CRPG sort of game, like
Mhm.
Baldur's Gate, only much, 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 much smaller. And this one's actually sort of weird in that they actually originally announced it was coming to early access like last April. And then shortly after they
Oh.
announced that it was coming to early access, they were like, actually, no, we don't need early access. We're just going to wait and we'll release it in full later. And so now they're basically saying they still haven't given it a date, but it's coming out this year. And there's like, okay, we're going to have a demo instead. So they have a new trailer with the demo. So if you're,
So
if
the
you're,
demo
if you're,
the demo is the early access.
yeah, I guess. So I'm sure they'll take feedback from the demo on,
Yeah.
or they can. But yeah, if you're big into tactical RPGs and you like indie stuff, worth checking out. We like to cover the indie stuff too.
Yeah. A new version for Honkai Star Rail is coming 1.3. It adds, oh boy, I'm gonna fucking butcher it. Don Hung and with a Imbibitor Lunae,
What is this, Chow? What is Dan
uh,
Hong Imbibitor Lunae?
and then Fuxuan and Lynx, I think is how you say it. So I don't know what the fuck I just read, Chow.
Okay,
Uh,
so in the storyline, there's a wanted criminal named Blade, who's part of the Stellion Hunters, and he encounters Den Hung, and he basically stabs him, and it looks like he kills him for a second, and it's like, oh, it's like, I know that's not your true form. And then he comes out as Lunae, that you see in there, the Imbibitor Lunae. I don't know what they say in English, because I don't play it dubbed, so I can't tell you what exactly they said there, because the
okay.
dubs usually use a lot different wording
Well,
on
the
things.
Okay.
English press release calls it Imbibitor Lunae. I don't know what that
Okay.
means.
So this Imbibitor Lunae is like the Don Hung's true form.
Yes.
Okay.
Got
And
it.
then, so yeah, obviously, this character is actually like super broken, but it is very SP hungry. He's gonna be very hard to use, but I think he's actually a very broken character. People are saving for DPS. The other character is Fuxuan, who's a preservation character. Preservation classes are like the tank class of this game. I've been actually saving for this character because she's voiced by Miku Ito. That's Kokoro from Princess Connect.
Mhm.
She does a lot of voices. She's Anya's from Kuro no Kiseki as well. Like she's I'm rolling for the voice actress. I'm just doing it for that reason. I have skipped Kafka to save for her. So that's Fuxuan. She's
Skip Kafka? How dare
Is
you?
it-
yeah.
Is this another 5-star character?
Yeah, she's a 5-star character. She's the next character that's gonna come out, and I don't think she might be good because she's a preservation character. I'm just really because of the voice actress.
Well,
Uh,
that's
in the
loyalty at
lore
least.
is that she basically can see the future, and she
Hmm.
basically follows the route in the future. And like a lot of times, it's like in the storyline, she seems kind of childish because it's like, oh yeah, I can see the future, nothing can go wrong, and then things do go horribly wrong. It's like, oh wait, it's like, could it be not correct? I thought I saw this, you know? It's like, yeah, but anyways, her character looks really cool. Like, if you see her ultimate, it's like that's a very cool looking attack. But yeah, I'm saving to get her, and then if I do not get her, then I am skipping this version and get Jing Lu, which is this character that the what's it Jing Yuan fought in a trailer, which is his master, and she looks very cool. And the game's kind of like hinting that she's been playable for a long time. And yeah, because even if you miss out these characters, there's also Topaz, which their official trailer hinted that Topaz is also coming. Topaz is this character that you see in a light cone, and she looks like Chisato from Liquor. What do you call that show?
Licorice Recoil.
Yes, she looks like Chisato from that show,
That's
and
cool.
she's obsessed with money. She's there to collect debts, and she has a pig that tracks money down. And that character is what I would kind of hope to get if I miss out on these characters. It seems this game has nothing but awesome characters to roll on. It never miss a beat.
Best of luck, Chow.
Damn.
Our hopes and dreams are with you, I think.
I have to
Maybe.
admit, when I cover the news for these updates, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I just basically post the trailer and paste the press release from Hoyoverse. Like, they know what they're talking about. Here's what they say.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
like, I don't know anything about. I don't know what these words mean.
that's
I
There
think
right.
you
the
go.
sad thing is like when it comes to Honkai Star Rail and Genshin is that there are so many like quality of life improvements that made it to Honkai that still hasn't arrived in Genshin. It just feels kind of sad. This next version, they're gonna expand like how much energy you can store at a day, and you're like, damn, why is Genshin still stuck in this limbo? And then it's like even like the rolling system here is so much better, and you're like, it's like man, it's like is Genshin just a guinea pig for these guys? But I don't know, like, but yeah, I wish a lot of the quality of life from this game actually made it. Not like the lighting and stuff. I want the actual thing that make your overall experience better. Mm. Well, that's my take on it.
All right. Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga is getting DLC, the Legends DLC. It's launching on August 28th. That is.
Yeah, so this game is like it's a mix between like Ogre Battle and Fire Emblem. Scott reviewed it last year. I thought it was pretty good. It's got really good reviews on Steam, actually. I think it sort of hit a spot in the tactical space that a lot of people haven't, and that's that Ogre Battle style.
Mm.
So this is a I think this is a $10 DLC. It includes like new maps and new modes, kind of like an
Yeah,
additional story.
yeah, it's like 8 new chapters alongside a new game plus and the super final boss mode.
Ooh.
Super final boss.
So I think that's cool. A game that came out
Yeah,
last year did well. People liked it for the most part. Getting a little content update. I think that's nice.
yeah. Seems to have done itself very well. Lastly, we have Everhood Eternity Edition coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One on September 28th. And it's coming from publisher Blitworks and developer of Foreign Gnomes.
Foreign Gnomes. I have not
Hmm.
played this game. I actually honestly haven't seen much about it. It came to PC and Switch 2 years ago. As far as I understand, it's got like an Undertale like aesthetic, but it's more like a music rhythm RPG. It seems to have people have liked it. It came to those platforms, and now it's coming to basically PlayStation and Xbox. So for people who don't play on Switch or PC, this indie game basically is now going to be available for all platforms.
Hmm.
There is a very small controversy with this release, though, in that I guess the Switch and PC versions have some sort of like create music or create battle mode of some form. I apologize if I get the details wrong. These versions do not have that mode, but they have like new music and like new optional battles that you can do that aren't in the other versions, and as far as I can tell, are not coming to those versions. So there's sort of like a version disparity in terms of some content, which I saw when I was covering this news. There's a little bit of a complaint about, which fair enough. Sounds like
Yeah.
it has to do with the publisher. It has to do with the fact that they couldn't do the create music mode, so they had to do something else. So just you can read up on it if you want.
Yeah.
I probably don't
Yeah.
have all the details fully, but there are some exclusive songs and battles in these new ports.
All right. Yeah. Seems a little messy. Hopefully, things will work out. But yeah, that's if people are looking forward to that, that'll be September 28th, the end of next month. And yeah, that's the games and news for this week.
Yep.
Next week will be
Gamescom.
yeah, Gamescom. A lot of new stuff coming out. There'll be Armored Core coming out as well, so I imagine we'll talk about a little bit of that as well. And yeah, you guys can
So
go for it.
Tuesday is the Gamescom like event, the Jeff Keighley event, and then there's actual Gamescom after that, which
Yeah,
will get a lot more stuff. He's teased these games. Apparently, the Gamescom it's called Gamescom Opening Night Live is the theater event. Apparently, it's not gonna. He said it's not gonna have as many like brand new announcements, but sort of updates on stuff that is already announced. So far, he's said there's going to be. I'll just read off the list here. This is from Jeff Keighley, and these aren't all RPGs, of course. Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Black Myth Wukong. That's the like Chinese Journey to the West, Souls-like maybe. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 remake, Crimson Desert. That's the Pearl Abyss. That one's strange. It's an MMO.
yeah.
It's an MMO action adventure game.
We
For
don't even know
some
it's an
reason
MMO anymore.
they
That-
refuse to call it an RPG, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And they also, I think, they refuse to call it an MMO too. They do like persistent online. I don't know if there's some.
Just an online.
I
They-
don't
they-
know if there's some like they're trying to get they're trying to avoid like stereotypes or like any sort of stigmation from some name or how they label themselves. I don't know. They call it like an online action game. Anyways, we'll see Crimson Desert, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty expansion, Lords of the Fallen, Sonic Superstars,
Mhm.
which is like the classic Sonic game, but now with multiplayer, and Zenless Zone Zero from Hoyoverse, as well as Mortal Kombat 1, which is like the Mortal Kombat reboot. So yeah, and I'm sure there'll be more too, but that's what he's listed out so far. So for us, as an RPG website, Black Myth, Wukong, Crimson Desert, Cyberpunk, Lords of the Fallen, Zenless Zone Zero. Those are the things that we care about as our genre site. But we'll see what else they show.
Yeah.
I hope Black Myth lives up to the hype, because that trailer is very hype in its first showing.
Yeah.
But it kind of left unrealistic expectations for this game, so
Well, I don't know. And I guess that like this is gonna be like about what 2 hours long. This opening night live thing.
It'll be too long, no matter how long it is. It's always too long.
That's true. That's actually true. Well, until then, you can find us over at rpgsite.net. That's our main site. You can find us on Twitter. I'm gonna keep on calling it Twitter until the heat death of the universe. You can follow us there at RPG site. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/rpgsite.net. Our YouTube is youtube.com/rpgsite.net. You can find us on your favorite podcast app. This would be iTunes, Spotify, wherever else you get podcasts. You can join our Discord server at discord.com/invite/RPG site. And yeah, it's always popping it there. And until then, nothing else to say about this week. Everyone stay safe, take care. I'll definitely try to get better more and more until PAX West. And yeah, thank you for joining me, Adam. Thank you for joining me, James. Thank you for joining me, Chow. on this week's edition of the Tetracast. Until then, peace out.